Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a little video just showing you how I set up my palette. Now I know we've talked about this, but I just thought it might be good for anyone coming in new to the workshop that they can see how I set it up. So now there's really no math or rhyme or reason to the way I'm setting it up or where I'm putting the colors outside of the fact that I do try to do a little bit of Roy G. Biv. So I'm starting with the pinks and then I'll go to reds and then oranges and yellows and greens. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like setting up my palette. Now you'll see that some of the colors are open, some of the colors are just heavy bodied. It's not because specifically I want those colors in that way. It's just because I would probably use all of them open, but I didn't have all of them in open colors. So I just use the heavy bodied in the colors I have and the open in the colors I have. But quite frankly, it doesn't matter either way. I just personally like to work wet on wet. So using that open color gives me a little bit longer drying time so that I can manipulate the colors and blend a little longer. But you'll also see that after I put the colors around, I'll start putting like an open medium in those little cups at the top. I'll put a little bit of gesso, a little bit of glaze. So if my color seems to be drying faster than I want, I can either choose the glaze, which will keep it wet just a slightly bit longer, or I can choose the open medium, which keeps it wet much longer. And the gesso is usually in there because I like to use it as white, but it's also a gritty. It has a different texture than just titanium white paint. So it just gives me more of a textural kind of look. And it's cheaper than titanium white. So typically you'll see I'll use gesso interchangeably. I always get a lot of questions about painting the backgrounds of my canvases with red. It's just red acrylic, no matter if I'm painting acrylic or oil. But I just find the cheapest red paint that I can find. I've even used house paint. And the method behind this is it's going to get covered up. I'm not really using it for part of the finished painting. I'm using it as an undercoat. And that red undercoat just gives me a warmth to my paintings because typically I like to paint in a lot of cool colors. And that red, it just peeks through and it might be subtle and it might appear that it's all covered up, but I promise you your painting looks a lot warmer with a red underpainting than it does a white underpainting. So you can see I'm being sloppy. I'm using, a big sloppy brush. I'm not covering it perfectly. Now I like to cover the sides, the edges. I like that almost like you think of like a pair of black shoes with that red sole at the bottom of them when you lift up your foot. I think of that as that edges of the painting that I might paint on the top, but the edges still have that red in there. So it's just part of my, I guess, signature, part of something I like. You'll know that it's my painting if it has a red underneath. So yeah, hope that answers your questions, but it's just the cheapest acrylic paint. It doesn't have to be perfect. I actually put way too much paint on there, and that's what I'm trying to do. I actually will start to paint other canvases because I've got so much red paint on there. And it is a good practice if you've got 5 or 6 canvases at the ready. Just paint them all red at one time, and then you're ready to go for your next project.